Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Spears with BMI. I want to welcome you to how to bring live music back in a COVID-19 environment. The goal of this webinar is to provide you with procedures and protocols from restaurant owners who have successfully started featuring live music in their venues again. We will learn about the safety measures they have put in place, as well as some of the financial models they have employed to ensure the shows are profitable for both the venue and the performing artists. And we have a BMI songwriter with us who makes a living playing in bars and restaurants, so we can hear her perspective as well. We bring you this webinar in partnership with the Council of State Restaurant Associations, with special support from the Texas Restaurant Association and the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to CSRA Executive Vice President Suzanne Boley, who has a few comments to make. Suzanne?
Hi, Dan. Thanks so much. It's delighted to be here today, and thanks everybody for your help and support as we reopen restaurants. Everybody's excited to get out there and get this live music started. So we're delighted to be here and support today's webinar.
Thank you for your partnership, Suzanne. We value it greatly. Now I would like to pass the mic over to my colleague, Jessica Frost, who will be introducing our 4 panelists and leading our discussion. Jessica?
Thank you, Dan and Suzanne. We have a great panel for you today. As we all know, COVID-19 has completely changed so many aspects of our daily lives. With states reopening across the country, we have seen a tremendous amount of information on what restaurants and bars are doing to provide a safe and sanitary environment for their customers and their employees. As we all know, live music is a key component of the hospitality experience, but we have not seen as many details on how live music is being reintroduced. That's why we're thrilled to have 2 restaurant owners and a BMI songwriter on the panel today. They're going to share some of their best practices for bringing the music back and what steps they've taken to ensure the safety of their customers, employees, and musicians. I don't think it will come as any surprise to this group that there have been numerous consumer polls that show that the #1 thing people miss in the COVID-19 environment is visiting with their friends and family. But the resounding second thing we miss is being able to go out to our favorite restaurant or bar. We miss the socialization, the hospitality, and the entertainment that our favorite restaurants have always provided. So we're all excited to see restaurants reopening their doors and look forward to hearing how live music is a strong part of that equation. Before we kick off the questions, I'm going to do a brief intro for all of our guests. I'm going to start with Kyle Noonan. Kyle is an entrepreneur, speaker, television personality, and creative tastemaker. He is the co-creator and co-founder of Free Range Concepts, which represents 12 venues in 4 different cities: Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and Fort Worth, and 4 more locations he has under construction. One of his concepts, The Rustic, which I have been to the location in Dallas. It's a fabulous venue. It's a full-service restaurant and live music venue. Free Range Concepts is a member of the Texas Restaurant Association, my business partner, BMI. And Kyle has restarted live music at his Rustic locations, and we look forward to hearing from him on what the response has been. So welcome, Kyle.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
Next, I'd like to introduce you to Denise and Steve Hollister. They own both the Twisted Vine Bistro, hi guys, and the Barrel Room, which are located in downtown Fort Myers, Florida. The Twisted Vine Bistro offers innovative cuisine and wine offerings, as well as live music. And their sister property, the Barrel Room, is an intimate live music venue that features hard-to-find bourbon, scotch, and whiskey, and also a great late-night menu. Both establishments are members of the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, and for the last 7 years, they participated in the Island Hoppers Songwriters Festival by hosting multiple shows in both venues. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And last, but definitely not least, is BMI country singer and songwriter Sheena Brooks. Sheena is a Southwest Florida native, and she's played festivals with artists like Christian Bush, Josh Turner, and Kevin Costner. She recently appeared on NBC's season 12 of The Voice, where she was handpicked by Adam Levine to be on his team. After the show, Sheena has proudly released her brand new EP, The First Time, which is now available on iTunes, Spotify, and all other media outlets, so give it a listen. Sheena spends a lot of her time performing for her fans, and we're glad she can be with us today to paint a picture of what performing in a new environment looks like. So welcome, Sheena.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So we're going to get started. Kyle, I'd like to start with you. I know your Rustic locations are open and you are offering live music. Can you give us an idea of what the response has been from both your customers and the musicians? Are people ready to get out? Are they anxious to get out and social, hear live music?
Well, I think it's no surprise to anybody that we're all cramped up in our homes, and we have been for the last 90, 100 days. And so the ability to get out and hear live music and be out with people and see the band on stage and feel the bass of the drum, and it has been an overwhelming success to those who want to come out and experience it. And we are fortunate that we have large outdoor venues, so we can practice social distancing, but also get plenty of people out so that there's energy in the room or energy in the venue. And it's been a real success for us. And I anticipate it continuing to be a success.
That's great. It's great to hear that. Yeah, you do have a great space. I mean, you have a wonderful outdoor space. So I know that makes the challenges that many venues are facing now, that definitely is something you're better situated for. Denise or Steve, I know the Twisted Vine and the Barrel Room, you are starting to integrate live music back into your venues. Can you tell us, has the experience been similar to Kyle? Customers and musicians ready to come out?
Well, Kyle's venues are a lot larger than ours. He's doing a lot more juggling than we are. Both of our venues are right next door to each other, so it makes it a little easier for us. We don't have to drive too far. But we do music in Twisted Vine on the weekends. In the Barrel Room, we do jazz on Thursdays and Sunday brunch, and we do primarily blues on the weekends. But we mix in country, we mix in some bluegrass, we mix in some reggae. We try to keep it fresh and change it around. Our clientele here in Fort Myers is a little bit older than some of the urban areas that Kyle's in, and so people have been slower to come out. We've had a slow start. Something that we've been trying to integrate now is doing dinner theater in the Barrel Room rather than just having performers come in, so that we can try to keep people seated at their tables to help with the social distancing. We've spaced the tables out really well, and we only sell a certain amount of tickets for each performance, and then after that, that's it. So that's been working pretty well for us. And with people coming in and having dinner, we can charge a little bit more for the ticket. The performers have been really open to work with us on pay. They're not getting their normal scale that they have been getting. And then if we do a second performance later in the evening, then they get the door. And that's been working out fairly well for us. They're getting excited to come out and see their friends and have music again. And we had to kind of get them to not be jumping up in the aisles and dancing and or grabbing all their friends and kissing them.
We've all missed seeing people so much. So Sheena, as a musician, live performances obviously are a key component of you getting your music out to your fans, but also in helping you pay the bills. Can you tell us, how many live shows are you now doing in the current environment, and maybe in comparison to how many you were doing before COVID?
Right now I'm playing probably just recently. I started playing once a week. I used to play more like 3 times a week, which is actually a lot less than the average bar player in town, who will play up to 5 to 6 times a week. So I play a little less than the average because just the nature of my my style of music and the way I market myself. But it's definitely been difficult because it's slower. It causes you to have to be creative. And to what you guys were saying, people are very excited once you do finally start getting out there.
So can you tell us how that experience has been? I mean, do you feel like that venues, kind of what does that performance experience look like for you now in comparison to the past?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it is just, I think, on me to be more careful, because I'm the one on stage. I'm the one getting everyone excited. And I will say if there's venues that are looking for, what can I do to help my musician? Build a stage. Build any barrier that will help them separate themselves from, whoever's super drunk and super excited and wanting to be this close to your face. And I get it, having even the smallest, whether it's just a stage this big or really tall. I know the Barrel Room does a really good job of that. It's a nice separation between the audience and the musician, and just those little things can really make a big difference when you're in the middle of a show. Even after the show, if you're taking a break or you want to greet people, it kind of can help you create a barrier to keep that social distance happening when people are really excited to see you, or they want to take a picture with you, or whatever each individual's experience is.
That's a great tip. And are you finding, Sheena, because I know here in Nashville, they've mentioned that quite a few of the venues are expecting the musicians at this point to bring in all of their own equipment, so they're not having to deal with cleaning everything. Has that been the case where you've been playing as well, that you're bringing your own equipment, your own mics?
It's hard for me to say because I do that anyway.
Okay.
But I would definitely, I think that's a great advice. It is also helpful when venues have where you can plug I can set up my monitor and my mic stand and all of my gear and plug into their system that might be piping through the walls or the ceiling. It creates less in and out of the door with my gear. I can walk in with one basket or one handful versus, hey, I've got a whole PA system that I've got to set up, and I'm in and out of that front door 10 times, 7 times, depending on how much gear you have. That's another huge help, kind of meeting in the middle between the venue and the musician.
That's great. Denise and Steve, I thought I saw you raise your hand. Have you been?
Sheena's got a good point on that. We have all the equipment here, and most of the performers bring their own microphones, but we sanitize ours in between. If they're used by someone, a lot of times the drummer will decide he wants to do a song or something, and we'll pull out an extra mic for him. But we sanitize all that in between, and to keep the distancing, like Sheena was talking about, between the performers and the stage, we have a real small space up front for dancing. And what we did was, when we did the social distancing of the tables and chairs in the Barrel Room, we filled that space with chairs, so nobody can get within 6 feet of the stage, because the performers, they're thinking about their safety too. And if they're on stage and they're in the middle of a song and all of a sudden somebody jumps up there, it's distracting to them. So we try to take that away.
That's great.
That's great. What about Kyle? I know with your venue, the rest of the stage is quite a bit higher than where the audience is.
Yeah, so, I think there's two things to note. 95 to 98% of our music is free live music while you're in the building dining. And so our tables and chairs are set up already. They're probably closer to 15 to 20 feet away from the stage. So there's already that space. Now, when we go to more of a ticketed show type of situation, we've always had the guardrails in front of the stage anyway, to keep fans off of the stage or from crawling onto the stage. And so really nothing has changed from that standpoint for us, because there's always been a built-in barrier between fans and artists. We have not yet gone to a general admission show where it's standing room only. And at that capacity, when we're standing room only GA tickets, we're at 3,000 person capacity. We haven't done that yet. I don't foresee doing that for quite some time. I don't know if it's through the end of the year or even through, a year from now. We don't know. But what we've had to do is we've had to shift to more of a premium ticket, and you're buying tables instead of buying a standing room only area. So we have we sell tables in groups of 2, 4, and 6. And that's how we're practicing social distancing. What we found is that we are able, even though there's a lot less people in the building, those people that are in the building are willing to pay a premium to be there. It doesn't, in no way does it get close to our 100% revenue capacity that we have historically been. But it does give us some ability to make a little bit of money so that the artist can make some money.
Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting. So is it similar, like when we go to a concert, the closer you are to the stage, the more expensive your seating is? It's the same model as when we go to a show.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, we have different tiers of tickets of ticket prices. And yeah, it's strategic in how we've laid out the 2 tops and the 4 tops and the 6 tops and space it out throughout the venue so that obviously the premium seats are more expensive than the ones in the back.
And I know Denise and Steve, so you obviously, your venues are smaller, so you can't do that per se. Are you having do you have the ability where people come in like one door and leave another door, or are you doing similar, where you have premium seating in the front?
Well, we haven't done that yet, but I mean, our normal occupancy for the ballroom room is only about 100 people. So it's very small and very intimate, which is the reason why we put the chairs up front to keep people away from that stage. We have 4 dining areas, and 2 of them are outdoors. So, you know, we've kind of maximized those spaces for people that want to sit outside. But, you know, it's hot in Florida, and it's wet in Florida, and it's raining in Florida, and, you know, that doesn't always work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to know the behavior of your customer. I play on a lot of different types of venues, listening rooms, maybe a festival, and then a beach bar. And it's important both as a venue owner, but also as a musician to understand, okay, this is the behavior of this crowd that I'm about to play for. And I think as a venue, doing things like staging, you know, when your employees wear a mask too, I think that's really important because it lets the people know that it matters to you. And then I think things like you suggested, if there are different entry points for musicians, which isn't something every place can do. Downtown, there isn't a lot of parking. So, you know, that car's got to pull up and unload and figure that out. But if there's a possibility for entry points or special places for them to park and enter, I mean, what a huge help. It just makes for less, I'm going to get stopped on my way in every time if I'm walking through the crowd. Hey, Sheena, you're here. And so, you know, it's just one of those things that can help. That way it's my choice as the musician whether to greet those people or not.
Or either one of you, Kyle or Denise and Steve, are you doing temperature checks for your musicians or patrons before, or both?
We temperature check our staff every day before they start their shift, but we do not temperature check our guests.
Right. Okay.
We don't temperature check anyone. And masks are, you know, available. We keep them at the door for someone that wants one if they didn't bring one, but we don't. It's not mandated.
We don't have a playbook for what we're experiencing. I mean, this is something that none of us have been through, none of us could plan for, and so we're all just trying to navigate through as best we can. Certainly, the venue side has been hit very hard, but so is the artist side, and so we're all kind of in this big mess together. And so what I've seen is venues, artists, agents working together to just try and, you know, figure out the best way that we can make everything equitable for everybody. So that I think we all know we're not gonna hit home runs right now, but can we hit singles and survive until things open up 100%. So obviously the economics have changed for the venues, but they've also changed for the artists. And I think the number one thing I'm seeing is instead of flat guaranteed rates now, it's more percentage of the door revenue sharing, because it's hard to predict even the revenue side, what you're going to be able to do. Now, I will say 95 to 98% again of my live music is free live music, and I do it as an amenity to fill up the space and get, because right now we're seating for dinner service about 550 people per dinner service. So as long as I can get 500 people in there eating and drinking, I can afford an act to be on the stage on a guaranteed rate. If I'm doing ticket sales, that's a whole other animal. That again, if I'm going to shut down the venue, I have to make sure that it makes sense for me to sell the tickets that can justify paying for the artist, but also paying for my staff and ensure that I'm not losing money on the venture. So ultimately, it's a long story short, but we're all kind of working together to try and navigate through this. And I've seen all the different entities, whether it's agents, artists, or venues, really working together more than I've ever seen in my career.
Steve, is that the same?
Yeah, I have to say the same thing for us, just on a different scale. I mean, I've actually had some of our artists that have played here for years have called me up and said, hey, you know what? You were one of the first ones to bring us to that area, and we want to come down and we want to play for free just to help you get jump started and get going. So obviously, I don't expect the artists to play for nothing, but they've all been really good about working with us and working out a deal where it's fair and equitable for both sides. Because the bottom line at the end of the night, nobody wants to be left holding the bag.
And what about for you, Sheena, as far as, has it changed for you as far as payments or?
It's sort of a difficult decision. I think for me as a musician, I've had to fight really hard to get a pay that's above the guy next to me. And so I have to make this decision based on, if I take $300 less than I normally charge, am I ever going to get that back because it took me so long to earn it? And it was a really tough discussion. Me and my wife sat and toiled over, and you're right. If it's a bar that has always provided me a place to play, I'm going to go play that bar. So across the street from my house, they call me, I'm there. But it's difficult now if maybe a new venue is reaching out saying, hey, can you come and play? I only have this much money. And as much as I want to, it's a hard, it's kind of, I'm sure it's the same, but on the other coin, it's sort of a hard decision to say whether or not I can afford pay cut, essentially. And so that's been an actually difficult thing to juggle when someone does ask me to play. So it's kind of a juggling act. Some places I've said yes to, and some places I've said no.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes sense. Like they said, there's no playbook for this, right? So we're all just trying to. So I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like at this point, Kyle and Denise and Steve, you're all still doing. All of your patrons are seated the whole time. So I'm wondering, in the new environment where there are still all of these, distancing and restrictions, and wanting to make sure that your patrons are, staying the safe distance. Are you having to have more staff on hand to manage crowds and behaviors, or have you utilized, like my experience going to the grocery store, you've got the arrows on the ground. Are you utilizing just visual cues for patrons, or ways and visual cues? Kind of how are you?
Well, it's easy for us because we're small. So we don't really need any additional staff because the existing staff can handle us. Whether you're in a state that's at 25% or 50 or 75%, or wherever you're at right now, it's easier with less people in the room to maintain and keep control of it. Whereas, in Kyle's situation with a larger venue, I don't know. What do you say, Kyle, on that?
I would say that the consumers are really managing themselves in most cases. I mean, we're all, there's this social element that we all have to deal with too. For example, wearing a mask. Most people are wearing masks now. Why? Because they feel like they should, but also because they don't want to be the one jerk in the venue, or the one guy that's not following the rules at the grocery store that everybody else looks at. So, there's an element of social pressure that goes on that I've seen, that we all kind of manage ourselves in a way as just citizens. But we also have implemented visual cues, tons of signage, spacing out tables. The only real difficult conversations that we have to have right now is when one table wants to get up and go talk to the other table next to them or something like that. There's an art to, okay, if you're swinging by and saying hi because it's your brother at the next table, that's one thing, but congregating and hanging out for 10 minutes, that's another thing. So having those awkward conversations is something that we've had to get good at really quickly. But I will say 99.9% of the time, the consumers are understanding and they're respectful of each other, respectful of the fact that these, frankly, aren't our rules. These are the country's rules, or the state, or the county's rules. So, I think everybody kind of understands. And like I said, just like with the artists and the agents and the venues working together, there's a lot of working together with just the community and our guests, and everybody's trying to just figure it out the best we can.
Well, and I'm curious too, I know a lot of times in a normal business setting, you're looking to kind of increase turnover, right? You want to make sure you can utilize and make as much money off your tables as you can. I know now with probably some of your cleaning protocols, do you find that you're still, are you hoping to do that? Or are you more like just let them linger and maybe they'll eat and drink more? Or is your philosophy of that kind of changed?
No, it hasn't changed. I mean, ultimately, we're here to serve our community and serve our guests. And if they want to hang out, then we'll let them hang out and enjoy. That means they're having a good time. And I don't want a table to be there for a long time because of me, because of slow service. As long as my service is quick and we're getting the drinks out to the guests and getting food out to the guests and dropping checks when they want, things like that, they can stay as long as they want, because we're ultimately here to serve our guests.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all lucky that they're in. I can't tell you. I'm always grateful when somebody comes in and spends money with us. But I'm even more so now because I know that there's also another layer of uncertainty and fear. And am I going to get sick? Or, so if people are willing to come out, I'm just so grateful for that.
I agree with that. I think something that we did was, rather than having the musicians for 2 sets with only like a 20-minute or half an hour break in between, we've split those apart. We've made the first one the dinner set, so people are sitting, and then those people leave after the first set. Typically, the band will make them some dinner, and they can sit and have something to eat. And then we'll sanitize and clean the bar, the stools, the restaurants, the bathrooms, the tables, everything. And then, we'll open the door back up at 9 o'clock for the second set and let them in for that second set. But only a certain amount of people, and we explain to them the distancing at the door. And, like Kyle said, they're all really good about trying to go by the rules. Some of them get a little bit excited, want to hug and kiss and see, people that they haven't seen for a long time. But, if Denise is by the door and she gives them the stink eye, then they kind of don't do that anymore.
Well, I mean, I just so appreciate all of you taking the time to be here with us today. It just is, as we've said, I think the hospitality industry, we follow so much of this, has provided more guidelines of what the customer can expect from their experience than I think any other industry. It's been amazing just to see. Really, you guys are kind of setting the tone, I think, for what customers are going to expect in every other business interaction, right? Because it's all been, that's so much a part of your industry, serving food, obviously, safely to guests. So I think it's no surprise that you've really stepped up to the challenge. And that's what, we see. It's just amazing to see everything that's been put in place. Obviously, we hope this does not stay. We hope this is gone sooner than later. But I think this will be a lot of really good information for business owners as they're looking to implement back live music, because I do feel like they still think there's some hurdles. Dan, did you have any other questions?
Jess, I just want to also reiterate my thanks to Kyle, Denise, Steve, and Sheena for sharing their experiences and expertise. It's all valuable information and will be critical to many bar and restaurant owners that have not yet brought live music back, but are trying to figure out ways to do it safely and cost effectively. This will be very important information for them to access. If anyone has any questions about what was discussed today, you can please feel free to email me, Dan Spears, at dspears@bmi.com, or Jessica Frost, jfrost@bmi.com. We'll make sure that we get that information to the respective panelists and get you an answer just as soon as possible. Thank you all for joining. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody.